Hi, I'm Susie Walton with Integrity Incorporated. Today we're going to talk about the travel expense report. This is the Integrity Travel Expense Report. Over here on the left-hand side it says complete one sheet for each consumer. So only one consumer's mileage can be tracked on the sheet. Processing deadline is 8 a.m. on Mondays and no more than 1 month per sheet. So only January, only February, only March, and so forth. Only 1 month per sheet. If you run out of room on here, please get a clean sheet and carry out the month. If the month ends in the middle of the week, you will need to get a new sheet and start a new sheet on the first day of the month. Here we'll need your name, your staff. You will put your name in here. Most of you, and all of you actually, will be filling this out, handwriting it out. Again, please make sure that it is legible and we can read each of all the information that you're giving us. Next, we're going to need the consumer's name. We'll also need to know if your consumer is supported living, DCFS, or DDS. If you're unsure of what your consumer belongs into, ask your direct care supervisor and then check the appropriate box. And remember, this needs to be done for each client. So let's say for the demonstration that Larry Beds is a supported living client. So we would check SL right there. Then we need to know who your supervisor is. Demonstration purposes, our supervisor for Susie Walton is going to be Tim Supervisor. Moving on down here, you'll notice that you need to put in the date. You need the month, the day, and the year. So you'll need to put the whole thing. Okay? You'll also need to put the time in and time out. The time you started and the time you finished. What time of day of that is. Okay? So if you're leaving the house at 1 o'clock in the afternoon with your consumer and you're on your way, you'll put 1 o'clock. You will not put down any mileage or time unless the consumer is in the car with you. So you'll put time in and time out. We also need to know what goal you're working on while you are traveling or taking the consumer out into the community. We've made it kind of easy for you down here. We've come up with some goals. If you look down here at the bottom of the page, it says goals, and we've given them numbers. Number 1 is self-direction. Number 2, behavior. Number 3, exercise and physical fitness. Number 4, independent living. Number 5, personal hygiene. Number 6, socialization and community integration. Number 7, recreational activities. And number 8, medication management. So if you're working on more than one goal, you'll need to put the numbers of each goal that you're working on here. So you'll put, if you're going out and you're working on some independent living skills and you're going out in the community, you'll put the number 4 right in here. Okay? Well, not there, but right in here. That area. Again, you'll be handwriting this out. Then do you do a safety check? Okay? So I'm going to scroll down here a little bit. And the safety check is, do you have a fire extinguisher, baking soda, and a first aid kit? So the fire extinguisher can be the baking soda. And do you have a first aid kit in the car? And you will need to check here, yes or no, whether you have that or not. Next, we're going to need to pick up point, the destination, and we need physical addresses for this. Where are you picking the consumer up? Where are you taking them? And where are you returning them to? So we need all of that right in here. So, let's say that you're 614 Northmore Drive, Little Rock, and you're going to YMCA at 23 C Street. Little Rock, and back to Northmore. Okay, now we'll need to know the mileage start and stop, and this is referring to your odometer reading. So what does your odometer say when you start it? So when you get in the car with the consumer, get this form, write down the odometer reading right here. Set the form to the side. When you go to Northmore, the YMCA, pardon me, and come back to Northmore, then you will pick up the mileage sheet, you will look at your odometer reading, and you will write down the mileage where you've ended. This box here is an official use only box. This is where we total the miles. Now, for your purposes, you're going to want to actually keep track of the miles and make sure that they total out correctly, and that way you can compare when you're reimbursed for your mileage to make sure that everything is correct and you've been paid the correct number of miles. Right here, we're asking for your signature and then the consumer signature. And this is done at the end of each trip. So every time that you are finished with the trip, you need to sign it, and you need to have your consumer sign it at that point in time. And then you will fill this out each day that you take your consumer into the community and travel with them. Again, this can only be filled out when you have the consumer in the car with you. You'll notice here that you need to use black ink only and no whiteout. If you make a mistake, let's say that this is an incorrect entry right here, you will need to just put a line, one single line through the whole thing, and then put your initials right over here above the line. Okay? Don't scribble it out. Don't try to mark it out with a marker. Just one single line through the entry with your initials. And that way we know that it's official, that this is not an entry that we are counting. We're asking you to please print and make it legible. Then we're asking you to sign the form. You'll need to put your complete signature as it is seen on your paycheck. And then we'll actually need your phone number. Please make this phone number a number that you can be reached. If you hardly are ever home and you don't ever answer your home phone and you use a cell phone, please put the cell phone number, whatever phone number you can be reached at. Okay? The dates and times must match case notes. If errors are found, case notes will be returned for correction. All trips must be goal-oriented unless approved. Once you turn this travel expense report in, and this is turned into the direct care supervisor. Once you turn it in, the supervisor will total the miles, the reimbursement rate, and put a total here, and then they will sign off on this reimbursement or travel expense report for you to be reimbursed. If you have questions or concerns regarding this form or the goals that you're working on, or when you should and should not transport a consumer, please contact your direct care supervisor. Remember, the processing deadline is 8 a.m. on Mondays for your travel expense report.